Okay, everybody, here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? I hope so, because we're going to have some fun here. Lots of fun. So post-market wrap up on this Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. People, I want you to just sit back for a moment and take a deep breath. Listen to this. This is the economic news from today, just a little bit of it. So, labor demand is dropping. Expect waves of layoffs. Lovely. The yield curve continues to invert, which is a clear sign, well, that the economy sucks and is going to get a lot worse moving forward. Pending home sales plunge, its biggest annual drop, are you ready? Ever in history. All right. The Chicago PMI nosedives. The PMI is a measure of manufacturing. Imagine my shock here. Okay. ADP jobs report with regard to manufacturing jobs, well, they're evaporating before our eyeballs. Well, even with all this, the stock market took off today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average put on over 700 points, like 2.17%. The S&P 500 put on over 3%. The NASDAQ put on over 4%. The 10-year yield dropped. Dollar relative strength fell. The MMRI fell 9 points as well. Why would all of this happen? Let's see. In the face of continuing beyond abysmal economic news, and it won't stop, the disconnect between the stock market and the economy, the gap here, is going to get much, 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 much larger. Why? Because you and I are so far ahead of the curve, it's frightening. What am I talking about? Months ago, how many of you have been with me for quite a while? You remember discussing right here on this blog, and I literally mean this, people, before everybody else, okay? Nobody was talking about this. What am I referring to? I said explicitly that come December next month, the Federal Reserve would ease back off of their aggressive stance on rate hikes, maybe pull off a 50 basis point hike and possibly a pause after that. Well, today we heard from King It. Who is King It? I'm talking about Yellowstone Powell himself, the thing, the entity, the creature, the liar, actually the ruler of the free world. Okay, it's not presidents, kings, queens, monarchs, or dictators. It's central banks running the world. And he came out and said that come December, hold back your shock here. Are you ready? Come December, the Federal Reserve looks like they're going to start easing back on their aggressive stance. Imagine how surprised I was to hear that. Actually, no, neither were you. And whatever else came out of the man's mouth, it doesn't matter, because this is all the market wants to know is, well, some kind of certainty here. And that's exactly what it just did. It just told the market, hey, don't worry, I got your back. Nothing else matters. People are going to lose their jobs in mass. Housing prices are going to crater. The economy is going to free fall faster, but that stock market's going higher. Why? Because the Fed's buying it all. How does the Federal Reserve keep rates suppressed again? Let me see. Can someone out here remind me? Oh, exactly. They have to get into the market and buy the debt. Oh, wow. What a concept. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do here. And here's the fact. I'm going to lay them out for you right here. So the Federal Reserve is, in fact, next month. The market's already got primed for it, pricing it in, obviously. The Fed's going to ease back starting next month. Maybe another 50 basis points in January, then a pause, and the market's going to spray it short. You want to see what that looks like? Like you can't possibly believe. As the economy free falls, as people lose their jobs, the rich, the well-off, loving this. This couldn't possibly be a better situation. But President Bidenstein, he cares about indigenous people. He cares about indigenous people so much that he wants to revitalize tribal languages and spend billions of dollars doing it. How many of you believe for a nanosecond that whatever Bidenstein, the freak show, is going to do for indigenous people, because we care so much about them in the United States, okay? They're going to benefit at all. Billions are going to be spent to whatever he wants to do for these indigenous people to, I don't know, help people buy their products that are made in Japan and China. So we're going to, let's see, the indigenous people that live in Japan and China that were supposed to be here in the United States, they're going to benefit because they're going to make the products that the indigenous people supposedly made, but they're not making, so they're going to sell them to the people and lie to them and tell them that it is the indigenous people because it's all made in China and Japan. Oh, you want me to say that again? I can't do it. I think these people, look, if there's one thing you know about the United States of America, don't give a shit about indigenous people. Ask an indigenous person, how do they feel about the United States of America? I'm surprised we have any people left here, okay? They're not going to benefit at all from any of this, but billions are going to be spent. It's going to end up in the pockets of politicians and corrupt individuals and maybe China and Japan and whoever else are going to make the indigenous people products that are supposed to be made by the indigenous people, but they're not. Isn't that great? Make it up. Make any of this stuff up. You got it? Let us move forward here. So, again, we heard from it today, the supreme it. It's supreme. Jay Powell, dark, disgusting, putrid, vomitous, whatever it is, thing, okay? And yeah, so again, promising the market. So what he just did, really, unless something dramatic happens here, just real quick, people, he just pretty much assured a nice fat Santa Claus rally, because you know why? You have to understand how this works. How do the CEOs of these major corporations and the bigwigs at these major corporations get their year-end bonuses? Well, it's based on, obviously, share price towards the end of the year. So what Jay Powell here just assured, pretty much, is without something acting against it, and the Fed keeps pumping this market, oh, those CEOs and all the bigwigs at the corporations are going to get big, fat, beautiful, multi-million-dollar bonuses. And you're going to get the shaft, especially if you're an indigenous person watching this. I'm sorry to tell you. It looks like I offended a few people. Check the comments. Oh, Greg, you care about the indigenous people. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. I care about everybody, but I'm also awake, and I know what's going on here. And if you don't, I'm sorry. People make this stuff up, any of it. So anyway, a couple of other little tidbits of information coming out of its mouth, Jay Powell here. I want you to pay attention to this. Specifically, he says, the path forward to predict where inflation is going to go is highly uncertain. Really? Oh, that's because he said it was transitory and it was temporary and we were all going to be all gleeful and everything was going to be perfect right now. But how about no? He knows exactly where this is going. As a matter of fact, not only does he know it, he's pushing it. The central banks are going to continue to freaking inflate faster, and you know it. Period. The end. They're solidifying their stranglehold on the world, and that's it. They run the show. So this is a complete in-our-face lie. The path ahead for inflation is uncertain. How about we'll sum it up right here? It's going higher, just like I've been telling you for the freaking longest time. Day one, you and I discussed right here when it came out, oh, inflation could be transitory and temporary. Could be temporary. Really? Oh no! We and when they were we're gonna raise rates and that's gonna control inflation. Day one, we said no freaking way was that gonna happen. It looks like we nailed that to the wall, along with the Federal Reserve come December. And watch what's gonna happen after that. I'm telling you, you and I, we got it down. So the current pace of rising inflation was unexpected. This is another thing out of its mouth. So let me ask you. Where's the accountability here? Really? You and I knew this would happen. You're trying to tell me the Fed chair himself, vice chair, brain turd, tard, whatever it is, and all these other freaks, Lex Luthor, they didn't know. It was completely unexpected. They didn't see this coming. Meanwhile, they've been freaking central banks around the world have been doing nothing but inflate on an incredible scale. more than anyone could have possibly imagined since the last meltdown, just to prop up the stock market, inflate a housing bubble, and suck whatever interest people can earn on accounts moving forward, and destroying the population. That's exactly what they're doing. You know that. Suppressed rates have literally robbed savers of multiple trillions of dollars in realized wealth. But it has sure as hell pushed up that stock market and making every one of those people in it really rich. Unfreaking believable. So it's hard to forecast inflation. Then he went on to make excuses for inflation. You know, it's supply chains too. Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's not the fact that they've been printing like there's no tomorrow, because it's going to change very rapidly. Oh, it has nothing to do with that. Make this stuff up. Any of it, I freaking dare you to do it. Can't. No one can do it. No one can freaking do it. It looks like a lot of you like this chart. I want you to have another look at that. That was from this morning. Money supply keeps inflating. Money velocity is dropping. Lovely! What's that a recipe for? Much higher inflation. Can I get a duh, please? Duh. Yeah, honestly. If I don't do these little things, have these little freakouts, trust me on this, you're going to visit Greg Mannarino in a freaking padded freaking room. That's where I'm going to end up anyway, people. Honestly, I just, this stuff is just absolutely out of freaking control. With that said, let us regroup for a moment. I want to hear from you. I covered a bunch of stuff here. Is there anything that particularly stood out to you? If there was, I would like to hear from you. Please comment. Please share the video. Let me know where you think this is all going. Does it look lovely and beautiful, especially for those indigenous people out here? How's everything looking for you? Perfect? Yeah, I don't think so. All right, look, I'm out of here. This guy, he loves you all a lot, even those of you that consider yourselves indigenous people. And this country doesn't give a shit about you. I'm sorry. It doesn't give a shit about anybody anymore. Okay? It's all about the corporate agenda. And the corporate agenda is going to be fulfilled. Whoever's left here in the middle class, you're done, toast, finished, it's over. While the rich and the well-off are going to be freaking laughing their way to the bank, as always. People, what have I told you? There's no such thing as trickle down, unless you're talking about a little, leakage here, from the urethra. You got, any urethral leakage. That's the only thing that's going to trickle down here, okay? Wealth always goes up. It always benefits the 1% and 2%ers, okay? The rest of everybody else, well, they're screwed. How's that? And in this society today, where central banks are hell-bent on literally exterminating an entire class of people, it's going to get much, much worse. Much, much worse. And if you have a different perspective on that, let me know. I would love to hear from you. I really would. All right, look, I'm out of here. Please share the video. Comment. I will read the comments. I'll see you in the morning.